All right, the date is May 29th. It is 6:34 p.m. We're going ahead and get this meeting started. We do have a quorum. Jeff, can you give me a thumbs up real quick to make sure you can hear the audio?
Yeah.
Thanks, sir. Yes. Yeah. So we have present in the room, myself, Kevin. Hello. Scott's here. And Thomas.
Yes,
And online, we have Jeff and Henry. And Rebecca is not present. She had a work thing.
Yes.
Let's get it going. It's all right. We established quorum, president's report. I have two things I want to talk about. One, the past 2 weekends, I think we've had a total of maybe, if you've been reading the security reports, I think we've had about 12 different security incidents, a lot resulting from events happening in the parking lot between the hours of 10:30, 11 and 3 in the morning. So I had Patty midweek look into ways that we can just start controlling access to the parking lot during trouble hours. We found a solution for $100 roughly, and basically installed 2 bollards on each side of the driveway, which are there now. And then Patty's going to go get a piece of chain with some reflective tape and a sign that says parking lot closed. And we're going to close the parking lot from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. This is when we have all the problems in the parking lot. Everything from people doing drugs in the parking lot, just random other things, a staging area for other. I'm gonna step up. Yeah, there's water in the refrigerator. Yeah, so if no one has a problem with that, that's what we're going to do. 11 to, it's not closing the gym. The gym will still be open. It's just if you want to access the gym, you have to park on Village Center. There's not many people that go to the gym that hour anyways.
No, they usually start around 4.
Yeah. I'm partly concerned about Luther's safety because the man is fearless and he goes up to every single car that parks in the parking lot for hours and knocks on their window. And this week, he got some lip from some people. What are you, the cops? Because he was like, "Are you smoking marijuana in the parking lot?" And not a place for that. And what are you, the cops? You can't do nothing. And he's like, "All right, well, we call the cops," and then they usually leave shit or whatever. So this is an easy fix. Let's just close the parking lot for 4 hours every day, and security will take care of it. Any problems? And it's just done.
It's a great idea, low cost, and it should deter the shenanigans.
The other thing we don't talk about is budget season. It is June. Shortly, the year will be half over. I'm going to start budget season no later than August. So we'll start putting some dates on the calendar. We'll do service areas and the master. Service areas are more priority to me to get done immediately. And then the board, we can do the master, whatever. But I'd like to get community involvement if possible. Westlake did a really great job last year of coming together and putting together their budget, so we can reach out to the same people there. And then with the other service areas, we get them involved too. And soon we do that. So August is when I'd like to start doing them. So it's just kind of a heads up to everyone in the room, and then also anyone that watches this after the fact. That if you're there, expect for some August dates to be put on the calendar.
Tuesday nights.
Tuesday nights, yes, absolutely, absolutely. That was the two things. If you are on Zoom, could you please mute if you're not talking? That would be very helpful. Treasurer, how are we doing?
So we have, I remember a couple months ago, we talked about how our variances were pretty high in some of the service areas, but across the board now we're within 1%, 1.5% of our expected income, so that come down. We're looking at that on an accrual basis, so cash would be a little different. I think so financially, we're kind of on budget in that aspect. Most of our expenses across the service areas are under 5% variance. Some of those are actually Westlake. We're doing pretty well, actually, and we'll talk about that as we look for some of the other things that Patty will talk about the rest of the meeting. Okay. However, the accounting or the bookkeeping firm we had, the CPA is no longer with them. So that's created a hiccup with the audits. The auditor has had a lot of pointed questions back to the bookkeeping firm to figure out why the numbers are climbing up. So it might draw out a little bit longer, but the auditors are trying to get to the bottom, like why are the numbers the way they are.
Okay.
And he's actually had to go back now, and based on approvals last time, to look at previous years since we took over ownership of the association.
Gotcha. All right, that's great. I'm very happy that we went with a third party auditor instead of just going with the bookkeeper. Checkers checking the checkers. So
Yep.
that's good news. Any red flags or anything we should be looking out for? Or it's just kind of just.
So the hardest part is like. As we've had 3 different variances of who's doing accounting, firms, bookkeepers, CPAs. They change the chart of accountings every year. So that's making it very challenging for the CPAs and the auditor to line everything up appropriately. So I don't really have the details to say yes or no. We're concerned at some point.
Gotcha. All right, keep us posted, please. Waiting for the audit kick on.
Yeah, it's, for some reason, it's not working right. So,
Still light out, so they're not gonna.
There's probably a video select button over there. If you go down to the bottom left of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little arrow that points up and you can select the Zoom camera.
yeah.
Zoom Ninja with telework.
Zoom settings.
Everything's plugged in, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of, go ahead. Drive away.
Plug it in.
That's where I was gonna go, but I didn't want to stop.
Created camera. Yeah, it should be right here, select camera, so.
We can unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah, we do it, try it. That sounds good. All right, well, we'll press while you continue to troubleshoot that.
No.
Very well. Officers report. Any officers with any report?
Nothing.
No. Secretary, anything?
Nothing for me.
Very well, sir, thank you. All right, on to the next thing, community manager's report. Is this right here?
Yes. Do you want to take it or you don't get it? Take it.
What?
I kept it very short.
Pool monitor hours, Securitas has finalized the pool monitor schedule. Starting this coming week, we will have daily pool monitors in place for the duration of the summer. Dog park update, Patty is currently working with a handyman to obtain a quote for replacing the existing shell area in the dog park with mulch. This project will include the area around the tree rings and the sandy section that has received several complaints. Maintenance progress. Our maintenance team has actively completed, is actively completing several improvement tasks, including painting the benches near the pool, dog park and playground to be completed within the next few weeks. Pressure washing of the lake house deck will resume as soon as possible. Painting of the pool bathroom floors scheduled to begin next week. Reserve study update. Patty's coordinating with the designated company to finalize the updated reserve study. She anticipates the board will have a draft for review and feedback before the June board meeting. Cleaning services, a new cleaning company will begin service on June 2nd. We're optimistic that this fresh start and look forward to improved services. Lake House parking lot and lighting. The lighting upgrades at the Lake House parking lot have been completed. Tico has replaced the bulbs and we should now notice a significantly better illuminated area. And that is it. Thank you for that, Eddie.
Next, violations. Over to Jennifer for this. What do you have to brief us on?
I have I'm sorry.
I have it.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 of them.
Let's see. All right, we got a trailer on a near driveway that hasn't been removed. Missing light cover outside of the garage, bare and brown areas and black and back in side lawns. Street tree that needs maintenance of some sort. Brown and bare lawn.
Yeah.
All issues. Let's see, the last 2 have been an issue since January, summer, February, then March and April. All have completed first, second, and final issues via certified mail. I motion that all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these be sent to the fining committee for the maximum fine of $100 a day up to $1,000 per fine, effective today.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I saw Jeff say hi.
Jeff said aye. And Henry?
Aye.
Henry records on. All right,
Thank you.
next issue.
Do we want to do the presentation? We just get through that.
We do that and then we'll come back to the committee.
The telecom national presentation, only 15 minutes. Okay, let's go to that.
Nick, you ready?
Sure.
I'm not sure.
So I think I can just flip present on here.
Probably,
Share screen. Oh, sorry, let me fix that. Here, let me see this. 1 second. There's tools.
you want to say a little bit about you before we jump into that?
There we go. Okay, allow participants to share screen.
Mark is
Out.
probably 3 years and
One
my
second.
second.
There you go. So this is how you select the camera right here. This little arrow. See now how it says integrated camera and then meeting owl. So you just click meeting owl and it turns in.
Not in my.
You should be able to share screen now, sir. There you
Good on that.
I don't think it got it, Mark.
This will be.
That one's working.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, if anybody needs to repeat anything or stop or whatever the case, no problem. We're gonna do about probably a 10-minute presentation, probably a bit less than that, because we want to open this up to a Q&A before we go. So that way, if you have any questions, I'm sure you will, since you guys haven't had this addressed to you so far. The reason why Steve and I are here is we met you guys at a trade show recently, the LNL trade show. We want to make sure that you guys understand that cable and internet access rights are one of the most important components of any association. You guys have control over. Access rights are very valuable. We're going to show you here in a few minutes how many units is here? 1250?
12:38.
You guys could, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be making about $500,000 every 10 years just to let the cable providers on your property, almost like rent. There's other things you can do, but at a minimum, that's how valuable your guys' community is. And we're going to show you how that is possible. Steve and I worked for Spectrum, Bright House, and Comcast before that for a combined 36 years. All we did was negotiate contracts with builders, apartment owners, and yes, associations. Because they're all the same. They all own the access rights to the property. And some of you might even be thinking right now, what are you talking about? We don't have any contracts with Spectrum or Frontier. Is that who it is, Spectrum and Frontier?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody just chooses, right? They don't have a contract. You do have a contract. And that's what we're gonna show you. Before I get into that, just so you know about us, please do diligence on us. We have nothing but 5-star reviews. We are here to help you guys understand everything we learned while we work with these providers. Because they have teams of people. They have ops, legal, sales. We did it for a long time. HOAs are volunteers. It's a mismatch. We want to make sure you guys know every single thing they know. Probably a lot of things they don't want you to know. That's okay. That's what we watched this happen with consultants as well while we were expecting. We learned the whole thing. We got a master's degree in it. And we're going to show you that as well. But yeah, we have nothing but 5-star rating with the Better Business Bureau. We've been hired by over 100 associations just like yours over the past 2 years. We've gotten over $20 million paid out to these associations. And our reputation is everything. You can see here's one of our clients' testimonials here, Ethan Woods in Hudson, Florida. That's a 2,000 unit property. We got them a renewal on their access agreement. They got over $700,000 from the providers. Nobody in the property is impacted. They can still choose Spectrum or Frontier. And then here's another one from a place called that's Country Place. That's another property that's in Tampa, 1,500 units. They're getting almost $1 million. And they're not doing it. They're not doing bulk contracts, nothing like that. We're going to talk about that. But that's how valuable your community is. And by the time we're done, you're going to see what we're talking about. Because you're going to start to say, why did they pay hundreds of thousands or $1 million to a community for nothing? Oh, there's something.
When was this community built? I took it stat in 2007, is that something about
I
right?
think that's when it started.
Yeah, 2006, 2007. So when we get into this next slide here, we're going to talk about the access agreements and the different types. But from what I can recall, because I was inspected for 20 years, this community The developer signed the initial contract, so that the cable companies come in here and build their services and use their easements and have access to the customers. That contract probably went into a developer file somewhere. And we'll find it for you and show it to you, but after 10 years, it auto renews every year. So it's likely that it's been an auto renewal since 2017.
You know, what happens is any community when they're built, the developer chooses what providers are gonna come to their property. And there's a lot of money exchange. Like this developer got a big upfront sign bonus, called it 4 feet, Spectrum and Frontier, that's why they're here. They didn't get here any other way. But it's important for you guys to understand the motivation of these providers. These providers have 2 motivations, and that's how we're gonna make sure to get you guys full compensation. If we ever get hired. Has anybody here ever heard of a bulk contract? You know what that is?
Yes.
Okay, you're familiar with that, most people are. A bulk contract means everybody in the community would have to use one provider only, but they give you a deep discount. It's like $50 a month for the best cable, the best internet, equipment included, it's a healthy deal. But it's very difficult for a large community like this to ever even think about doing that. Because we know your metrics. Half of you guys have Spectrum, half have Frontier, it's about a 50-50 split. You guys will get so much blowback. Yeah, I'm not saying don't look at, we're gonna show you every option we can hire, because we don't care about anybody. We don't live here, only you guys know how your community works. But a bulk agreement would be tough here because everybody would have to be with one provider. And it would go through your association dues, and there'd be a huge pushback. But that's what the providers want, they want full market share. Because we gotta take a look at how valuable you guys are, community. You hear people these days talking about cutting cord, they're switching over to streaming. But believe it or not, about half of people still have cable. But how many people these days are cutting the internet?
No,
I mean, you got 1,200 homes here, 1,197, and it's 99% nationwide. These providers know that. When you're at home at night doing your monthly bills, so I pay $172 a month for cable and internet. I pay $82. Spectrum and Frontier don't see that. If the average person these days pays, use the next screen. If the average person pays $160 a month with cable, internet, taxes, and all, there's about $192,000 a month coming out of your community every month. So that's about $2 million a year. You guys are worth $23 million in cable and internet costs over the next 10 years. Spectrum and Frontier know that. Right now, Spectrum and Frontier are basically splitting $23 million over the next 10 years. Each are gonna get about half. What they're definitely afraid of is losing you to a bulk contract with their competitor. So they got 2 motivations. They want you to do a bulk contract with them, so they get a higher market share. But if you can't do that, or you're not good, whatever, candidate for that, they're gonna say, hey, look, you don't have to do a bulk contract with us, but would you at least promise us you won't do a bulk contract with anybody else? Because then they're not gonna get out of 23 million. It's 0. Have you guys ever heard of a place called On Top of the World in Clearwater? The 5,000 unit place. Spectrum had a bulk contract there for a long time, about a $60-70 million contract. They lost the whole thing to a competitor called Blue Stream not too long ago. So they went from a $50-60 million contract to 0. Now you guys aren't a bulk community, but there's still always the fear that you guys could do a bulk contract with Frontier. Spectrum's afraid of that. Same thing with Frontier. They're afraid you could do a bulk contract with Spectrum. What we're proposing to you guys is, you guys had an access agreement, the builder signed the first one. Once you reach about 80% occupancy, that's usually what it is in the bylaws. They develop the association and they develop the bylaws. You guys assume that contract. There's no ribbon cutting or anything. After 10 years, it expires. And if you don't do anything, it just starts to auto. I'm almost certain you guys will end up digging up your contract with Spectrum and Frontier, and you'll see it's an old agreement, 15 years old, and it's just got annual auto renew every year. Problem with that is every 10 years you can renegotiate. You should be telling Spectrum Frontier, hey, look, you want to make half 23 million here the next 10 years? That's fine. We've heard communities are getting it working, signing bonus. Where's ours? And that's what we do. We negotiate with Spectrum and Frontier to get you that process.
I love this slide because it just demonstrates how valuable the company is over the next 10 years, which is how long these access agreements are. But one thing that it really illustrates is when we start talking about, you guys are eligible for about $500,000, right? That's kind of estimated.